Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the next pandemic. Bill Gates has got all of his little tools out, including the WHO. We'll probably rename them before the video's over. But
what did you rename them?
WDO.
There you go.
Because this is like in 1984, right? Everything's backwards.
Yep.
It's like the World Death Organization. You know, old Billy G, he's a philanthropist, supposed to be doing all kind of good things.
Yeah, I know, targeting kids.
Yeah, that's the thing. Guys, supposedly, we have been warned from Billy G, we've been warned from the other side that we're going to have another pandemic. Mm-hmm. And they said that it was going to affect kids this time. And can you imagine the shame people would try to put on you if you didn't have all your medicine and you didn't wear your mask or whatever? Yep. If it affected kids, and you know, I've just learned too much about what actually went on. Mm-hmm. This is a global thing.
Yes.
What we're about to talk about, and there's a few things, nothing to be worried about, but what to be worried about is the surveillance and everything else that's going to come with this. This is being spun up to possibly take more freedoms away and issue more pestilence.
Sounds that way. So I'm curious from you guys to see what your thoughts are. Do you think this is a legitimate concern? We're going to give you some facts of what they're calling the bird flu is going to be the next pandemic. Is this actually something to legitimately be concerned about, or is this just another tool for them to use to have control? So Chris is going to get into some of the, I guess, where you want to start next. You want to start with the WHO or WDO?
Well, let me tell them what happened first.
Okay.
All right. A couple of workers, I guess they work in chicken houses, tested positive for the bird flu in England. All right. Neither individual suffered symptoms, and they both have tested negative. Current evidence suggests the avian influenza virus we're seeing circulating in birds around the world is not spreading easily to people. Okay. What happened was they inhaled something, and it tested positive on a test. So now it looks like this is adding fuel to this fire. They've already killed about half a billion chickens and poultry, turkeys, and such.
I think it was like 316
It's
million.
500 million.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Was it okay?
It's up to 500 million, and you know we've got some stats from Brazil. They lost 9.76 billion bucks to this because they had to import 27%. Their imports rose 27%. So, you know, now we're talking about not only a pandemic, but some more food supply shortage.
Well, okay, so I think that the Brazil, what you were talking about, is they had to go ahead and kill their entire flocks. But previously, they were like one of the biggest exporters, and so it caused them a lot of money because they lost that. They're going in and killing these chickens, and we've discussed this. This has been going on. But now what's interesting is they're taking this. Well, I'll just read you something here real quick. So it's called the World Health Organization recently published in its Influenza Pandemic Frameworks Partnership Contribution High-Level Implementation Plan 3. You guys, they just met. They just met in Belgium. And where else did they just meet? They just met somewhere else the other day. I've actually got it.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to put this in the description. You can download the document. It's 100 and something pages long.
Yeah, good luck.
We've been combing through it, but they have spent a lot of time and covered this extensively.
Yes.
And just kind of pick through and watch it, and you're going to see equity, equal, global. You know, they want to run the whole planet. Remember, this is what happens in the end times.
It's 106 pages. They didn't put this together overnight.
No.
So when they met in Belgium and they had this together, they already were talking about this. Now they're coming out saying it. They're even meeting again in Bangkok. And they're going to meet again. They're saying everybody needs to be a part of it. And also remember, you guys, we talked about this. They were going to vote the other day on that. And I cannot remember now what they were going to vote on. It was the document that was a bill that they had put out that was going to allow the World Health Organization to, quote, do global pandemics And I got online and I did some research about that. I could not find anywhere where it stated that they would actually take over the countries. It stated that we would let the countries remain sovereign, make their own decisions, but we're going to, quote, encourage them, guide them, give examples of what they should do, and they would be the ones that could say, this is a global pandemic, you guys. You need to do what we're saying. And that was what's supposed to be voted on. It got kicked down the road. It's supposed to be voted on in June now. So if they give them those rights, I couldn't find anything specific, but that's basically what it came out. But I want to real quick just finish reading this.
Go ahead.
It said they're going to do a preparedness, and it's starting in 2024, and it's going to go all the way to 2023, and it's regarding this bird flu. And it says the World Organization for Animal Health reported in May 2023, they said with 48 outbreaks reported in poultry, 33 in non-poultry, birds over 3 weeks, mainly in Europe, America, Asia, is 1.5 million birds have died or been culled. Then the CDC came out and said, now this is where I thought this was, you guys pay attention to this. This is where I want to know, these are facts. So is this actually something that's a pandemic that's going to happen, or is this a scare tactic? They stated on March 17th, 2023, they confirmed the risk to the public, but they said the virus remains extremely low. They said, in addition, they said 4,000 people were infected to exposed to some of these infected birds. Only one tested positive, and I'm not even sure exactly how positive that was. It didn't just state. So they're saying, you guys, they're even saying the CDC reported bird flu outbreaks to the World Health of 54 countries. So these are birds. From what I can tell, based on a study that I did a research on, there was a study that came out. I'm taking over. Sorry, I'm going to shut up in a second. So from what a study that I could tell that I was able to do, this particular strain, and actually there was a thing from Maryland, University of Maryland, and we can get in that in a little bit more later, but they came out and they said this particular strain, apparently there's 3 portions of it, and 3 of those portions have to change. One of them has changed. The other 2 have not. So, I don't know. Those are scientific facts that I were able to find.
That's some scary news that it's mutating. It's already getting into mammals.
Yes.
It started with chickens, and you've got something on that, but it's gotten into some
right here, sea lions.
Yeah, sea lions, dolphins, several different mammals, and that's not really supposed to be that way. So that's kind of proof point right there.
It does make you pause.
And if this thing does get a grip, I think it has like a 50% kill rate, 50 or 60%
That's what it stated.
Kill rate. So it's, we don't know.
And it clearly stated, it said the problem with this strain was that it would affect more kids than I guess the last pandemic did.
How they figure
and
that.
even Gates came out and said that. So.
Yeah, so they're already building that narrative. They're already, the guys that were tested negative, this is starting to build up, and I want to make everybody aware of it. And I want everybody to read this plan, this, what do they call it?
Yep,
all these
acronyms
right are so hard to remember.
So it's called HLIP, and it's called a high-level implementation plan, and it's number 3. And it's 106 pages, and you guys are welcome to read it. If you go to page 12, it states in there the emphasis on this preparedness. It said it's going to include data from health surveillance, burden of disease, and social listening systems in order to inform the design of policies and plans that address preparedness and response needs equally.
And that the surveillance part, the GISRS, stands for Global Influenza Surveillance and Response System. This isn't anything new. This was established in 1950.
I didn't know that till you told me that.
It's got 25 countries were involved then. Now there's 127 countries. And they do stuff, respond to pandemic influenza type things. They're supposed to monitor and all of this. But it seems like, don't let a good disaster go to waste. It needs to be strengthened. This is their paper. Through a whole of government and a whole of society approach. Ensures a more equitable response by building stronger and resilient country capacities. These globalists, wait till you hear they're funded by. This is nuts.
Well, it seemed to be throughout this paper, and I did not read the whole 106 pages, I'm going to tell you that, but I did try to go through some of it. It seemed to always be we need to take care of all of the countries. We all need to have the equal opportunities. And I get that, everybody, but it's all
It
these
sounds
countries.
good.
It sounds good. So in the name of that, they're going to be the ones that say what needs to be done, give the ideas, give the guidelines. And they're already actually have rolled out and this is actually, it's been approved by the FDA. They have already rolled out a bird flu vaccine that has been approved by the U.S. FDA, and they're getting ready to do it right now on birds in California. And I actually have the article, and I'll pin it in the description.
And people will be consuming these birds. It's unbelievable. Now, the HLIP3, the Plan 3, utilizes partnership contribution. That's how they're funded. Preparedness funds, which are annual voluntary payments made by the influenza vaccine, diagnostic, and pharmaceutical manufacturers that use the WHO GISRS. So, the people that fund the surveillance also make the product. Mm-hmm. So, what would keep a greedy, bad person that wanted less people on the planet what would be the incentive to stop producing, pandemics? There's not any incentive not to. They're getting paid for it.
Yeah, and we could not actually find out who these companies were. We went online and tried to find out actually who funded them. I went into this. If you go to this 106 pages, I went into the funding portion. It never stated who funded them. It stated how it was broke down, but it never stated who actually funded them. But it was $28 million. As year to date, it's $28 million that is being funded. And it sounds like, from what we can gather, it sounds like a lot of these pharmaceutical companies and different things like that are the ones that are reaching out and funding them.
Well, Billy G came out and he said he wants to spend $1 billion in surveillance, global surveillance, $1 billion a year, that is. And get ready, because it's going to affect the children and the young people. And I had a little bit more on the surveillance system. After detection, countries need to be able to report the data, further strengthening. In recent years, 73% of countries reported this virological data, and it's imperative, this is from the HWDO, it is imperative that reporting is strengthened further still so that no potential pandemic influenza virus slips through the surveillance net. So I can only imagine.
If we just wanted to speculate right here, we could spend 45 minutes
like that.
just speculating on the surveillance portion.
Well, that camera, the
listening.
new red light camera that come out, that can see if you're wearing a seatbelt, see if you're smoking in the car with an infant. It can see inside your car, and it can cover 6 lanes of traffic at one time. It can check your tags. It'll be linked to your social score.
ESG.
They'll be able to pull up your track record and see what you did in the past. They'll see how big your carbon footprint is. They'll be able to see if you've got tags, registration, insurance, all the above, just by sitting at a red light in 6 lanes of traffic.
Yep.
If it's one of those kind of cameras,
I don't know.
The surveillance part's, I think, going to be a big push.
They're really pushing, too, that we need this, all these agencies to be involved, which sounds good. It sounds so good. But they just state right here, they said, this virus is wiping out everything in numbers that we've never seen before. And this is from the University of Maryland, and this just came out a few days ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago. It said, this paper illustrates how unprecedented it is and describes what we think is coming. It is really a call to arms, saying we cannot afford to address this from an individual perspective and person. And it's saying federal agencies, state agencies, the agriculture, wildlife management. We have all get together. They're really touting this as, and so I'm curious. Part of me wants to say, yeah, I can see this possibly happening, and another part of me, after we just went through what we went through, I'm so untrusting, I guess you could say the word. And I even heard someone the other day. They said, "Where in the history have you seen one pandemic back to back with the next pandemic? It's never happened." And now we're about ready to go. Okay, for example, you guys, the World Health Organization director. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, Dr. Tedros. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last. He just came out and he just stated They came to him and they said, you know what? It's over, COVID. So he came out and made a statement on TV. He declared COVID-19 over as a global health emergency. Oh, but hang on, it's not as a global health threat. But we are no longer, and now we're going to move on to this next issue that we're going to have to deal with. So I'm hesitant. I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on this. Go ahead.
No,
I can tell you're ready. You're busting at the seams.
No, it's just that is it. I mean, if you really think through what we've been through, because the whole time, I've been listening to people talk about what they learned in the pandemic. You know, we learned so much. The stuff we've been covering is about how much they learned from that, and how much better they can do with the next one.
That's it. That is yes.
You know, it's like, when's the next one coming? When's it rolling out?
Yes.
And Bill's over there whipping his little petri dish, and WDO's getting busy, and
that was quoted over and over
Yeah.
about we've learned from the last one. We can do better on this one. It's like they've already written it. They've already written 106 pages.
But wait, it's got to be global. It's got to be equal and global.
Yes.
That way, everybody gets the medicine, and and if they don't have it, well, maybe we'll separate them out and put them over there. It's just a.
Well, one of the things I do hope they learned, because they said this is going to affect the children, they really seem to be targeting the children. Like you said, surveillance and the children. They keep saying this one's going to affect the children more, going to affect the children more. And I think that's going to put a lot of scare in parents. It's going to but I hope what they did take away, and you guys can look at the studies right now, the damage that it did to our kids, that we remotely let them learn from home, no social activity. I mean, you guys, I don't even have to tell you, you guys have kids. What the stories that I have heard from people, you look at all the teenage suicides, even the younger kids, and we just had one that was 11, 12 years old in our own community. Mm-hmm. And you guys, the devastation that it did to them, and if we go through something like this again, and that's when I'm just like, I wonder if this is really legit. I have to question.
Well, and when all that was going on, in reality, social media was teaching the kids.
They were. TikTok.
And TikTok's algorithm was persuading the kids to do things. A lot of them OD'd on dumb stuff. It's a big global plan, and if you wanted to shut the economy down to save resources and reduce the population, whatever it may be, that is a great way, that's probably the best way to do it. Deploy something that's not that bad, get everybody scared, see how they react, and then do it again. And then do this until you can segregate and mitigate every little thing and survey everything and essentially control everything, including the currency, we're going to be an open air prison.
Well, one more thing.
If this keeps going, we need divine intervention.
We do.
It's the only thing that's going to save us.
So I want to touch on real quick, kind of have to be careful about this subject, but we've already started talking about the vaccine for humans. And it states this information has been shared with vaccine manufacturers. This is in a research, theguardian.com. I can share it with you guys. Just start stockpiling adequate doses. But this is a challenge because most influenza vaccines are created by incubating doses in chicken eggs. The bird flu has killed off a lot of those chickens. The egg shortages are likely. There is another vaccine, which is non-egg based, but they would have a maximum of 150 million doses ready within 6 months. The world population is almost 8 billion. So they are already doing the numbers and contacting these vaccines.
So they're ramping it up so they can sell their product. Yep. That's what it sounds like to me, One thing right here at the end of the video, I'd like to make sure everybody knew they were invited to the Silver Symposium in Vegas. It's September 30th weekend. And there's be a ton of speakers there, be a ton of like-minded people there, and tickets are like $89 if you use the affiliate link. It saves you 10%. So
he's going to be there for several days. I might pop over for a day, and there's some of you guys that have said if I pop over, you want to hang out and meet, and I'm thinking about that. We'll see how that happens.
Yeah, that'll be good. So, guys, this is the news. It's not a lot of happy news.
Well, I'm curious. Tell us what you think. Do you think this is legit or not?
We do desire to hear your opinion in the comments. And as usual, hit the like button. It helps send this message out. And hit the thumbs down if you don't agree. But tell me why, if you don't mind. So, guys, have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.